Hi everybody, it's November 8th, 2025. Sometimes I think about the greed of life, the greed of your participation in life. Yes, we want the most out of life. And I think the greed comes in when we don't realize that we already have more than enough. And so we keep on trying to tune ourselves and condition ourselves so that we can acquire more, so that we can enjoy more experiences and enjoy them more deeply. And this kind of greed for life may be more than a hunger. When it's more than a hunger, it turns into a slightly more toxic kind of situation. You may start to chase the dream and neglect your health. You may start to neglect your relationships with your lover or your children or your other family members or friends. When you start cutting off vital sources of your joy and of your experience for chasing the nectar of life, that's when it becomes kind of toxic and unhealthy. But even so, chasing for a better life and for a deeper meaning of life, um, autonomously is not totally bad. I think it just becomes a problem when you start to create suffering for yourself when you're trying to create peace and actualization. So this gets me to thinking about crafting and attacking. What I've learned from my years is that I was successful many times because during the heat of my battles with my problems in life, I would get hit, and then immediately I would gather that data kind of instinctually, kind of automatically, reflexively, and I would craft a sort of tool, so to say, during the battle. So after that hit that I took, I realized what I could do to avoid it and to turn it to my benefit next time. So I would craft a tool, so to say, metaphorically, and then I would come back into the fight and attack, and I would see what effect that had. And this would continue. This was when I had a thirst. This is when I have a thirst for life, when I have a faith for life that my life is going to get better. So, and that's one of the things we all learn about life. You have to learn that once you get hit in life, that's not the end. You're still in the battle. You still have a chance to win. And when you learn from your being attacked and being hurt, it's the most valuable lesson next to making mistakes. So another way to craft tools and attack is to try to still yourself in the midst of your responsibilities and your tasks and your obligations. To still yourself and try to visualize exactly what's going to come. And so you build tools that way. You build tools for, like, I know this is probably going to happen because of Murphy's Law or whatever. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And so if you have an idea of the situation you're facing, you prepare yourself with certain tools and certain weapons to mitigate the damage, to have damage control of what's going to happen during the trial that you have up ahead. And so once you neutralize that problem, it's not over. Like conversely, with being, like I said, with being hit, it's not over if you hit and you land and you get a little victory. It's most of the time it's not over after one hit. So you have to pay attention and you have to adapt. And sometimes you have to throw that initial weapon away because it's past its prime. It doesn't work anymore. So you just gain wisdom from your first successful strike, and then you just keep on building upon the next viable possibility. And another way for crafting and attacking, and this is one that's kind of fun, is just to have so much faith or feel so much faith and just stand there still and let what happens. I wouldn't say to forego your safety or forego wisdom or common sense, But sometimes when you just stay still and let what happens to you, uh, God will bless you with a barrier, and things will just float right over you. Things will just slide right off of you, bounce right off of you, and you will be fine, and you will succeed. But you have to have a certain faith where you don't care if you're going to be set back. You don't care if you're going to go forward. You just have faith that everything is the way it's supposed to be, and you're ready to be to take pain. You're ready to feel happiness, and that's the beauty of those certain moments of life. You shouldn't have to force this. You should feel this oncoming. You should feel the oncoming peace and acceptance of your life, and then you can actualize it in a moment. You will feel it, and you will know what it is when you get there, because we've all been there at some point of our life. So crafting tools and attacking and being resourceful is not necessarily a greed for life. It's just an understanding of the way we progress and the way we learn. So I hope this helps. Thanks.